talk to him.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show. Let me talk to you. Matt, good to see you. This is Assemble. We're here live and we're talking about WWE, AEW. We've got news with regards to Mr. CM Punk. We are going to go through some WWE 2K23 news for you because I got to talk to you. I'm not happy today. Well, I'm happy. I am in a good personal mood, but I got to be honest, I'm not happy about the news that dropped, the leaked My Faction updates that are coming. And they're coming in the wrong way. That's what she said. So, we're going to talk about that. We're also going to talk about Edgy Adam Copeland, ratings, NXT, all of that, and the big news and updates surrounding CM Punk. If you guys go on to enjoy the show here, whether you're joining us live in the chat or you are on demand, because we repost all of this up later, Matt cleans it all up. If you get here live, you join us for a little pre-show and post-show. But if you're on demand, hit that subscribe button and hit a like on it because it does help the algorithm. And watch as much as you can stand of my dumb face. It takes, most people last about 6 minutes. Yeah. All right. I'm not being nasty. Let's go. Edgy Adam Copeland in the news. What did he do on this day? On this day, I see clearly everything has come to life. Better place. All right. AEW viewership drops in the US. Largest audience in Canada since August 30th. Oh, yeah. I don't know why it's Finn Balor now. AEW Dynamite debuted Edgy Adam Copeland. It saw Dynamite even in the 1849 demo while falling in viewership from last week. The October 4th anniversary edition of Dynamite averaged 800,000 viewers and 364, a 0.28 in the illustrious 18 to 49 demo, courtesy of WrestleNomics and Sports TV ratings. This article is coming over from your boys at Post Wrestling, who are fantastic. The audience was down by 6% from last week's episode. It was its lowest average since May 7th. The 1849 demo was flat from last week's 0.28 and 365,000. It was circulating throughout Wednesday that AEW Dynamite was incorrectly listed for a 4 p.m. Eastern start time for those with DirecTV, Spectrum, and Verizon, and would impact those relying on DVRs. It is unknown how impactful this error was, but it would have affected some of the day viewership. Interesting. Tony Khan even talks about this too. TBS Network DVR listing issues for tonight's Wednesday night Dynamite. He says that it is affecting Verizon Fios customers as well, in addition to DirecTV Spectrum. Please check your DVR to make sure you have Dynamite at your usual start time. Due to a transmission issue. So this is not only the first one, right? Because, so this is not good. 800,000 for the anniversary, the 4-year anniversary show. Plus, it is the actual debut of Edge. Now, what I'm curious about is, that's the overall average. Dynamite could have seen, and I want to know from WrestleNomics, and maybe it's posted online, we'll take a look, but because WrestleNomics will do like the segment by segment breakdowns, but I really want to know from like WrestleNomics what it was with Edge and Christian's main event segment, because if the average viewership was 800, it could have started off with like 700,000, then like trickled up to 8, and then peaked at like 9 or something with Edge, and they average the whole thing out, right? And they say, okay, it landed at about a 800,000. It'll be interesting to see what the overall numbers are from like kind of minute by minute sort of deal. The Edge segment was also one of the highest things, guys, because if you look at not only the TV side of it, the YouTube side of it, I believe that the YouTube numbers for the Edge debut segment, the Christian main event, was something over 2 million viewers. I'll take a look here in just a second, but it's done quite well. Now, it wasn't the only issue that we saw on Dynamite. It was, the other issue was with like the Roderick Strong, Adam Cole, Bebe, Boom segment, where they aired it, and at first glance, I was like, oh, this has got some wonky problems. Like the audio was completely kabookied. It was broken. It sounded like they lost all of the actual audio that was going to be transmissioned to TV, and you were getting like what was in the arena because you could faintly hear it. So they ran the entire segment, which, by the way, why would you run the entire segment with broken audio? Like, unless they couldn't catch it in time and they didn't realize maybe like their feed within AEW was fine. Maybe Tony Khan's headset was like, I hear it, it's good. And maybe they didn't find out until after that the audio for everything was totally bust. That could have been the case, but they aired the entire Roderick Strong promo segment, and then it was broken. And speaking of that, Post Wrestling also has this write-up to say, due to a transmission issue during the first hour, AEW re-aired the produced segment involving Adam Cole, Roderick Strong, and the Kingdom, and included a 7-minute overrun featuring Adam Copeland and Christian Cage. The overrun was there it is. The overrun was the peak of the show, with 8:52 and 4:01 in the 18 to 49 demo. So the Edge segment was the highest segment. Dynamite also aired against 2 MLB playoff games of Miami and Philly, which drew, I bet AEW wishes for those numbers, like over 3 million on ESPN, and Arizona and Milwaukee over almost 2 million on ESPN 2 as well. And remember, like, if you're that's on ESPN. In Canada, we have TSN, and that's where Dynamite airs, is on TSN, but it'd be going up against all the sports on there as well if you're in the Canada. Dynamite also aired against the playoffs. We said Dynamite ranked 6th among sports programming on Wednesday, behind 3 MLB playoff games and the surrounding coverage. Despite the drop in overall viewers, adults 18 to 34 saw a 36% increase from 129 to 175 this week, led by males in the demo growing 84 to 123. That's what she said. It was Dynamite's largest 18 to 34 audience since June 14th. Conversely, I love the numbers, by the way. I love going through the numbers. And thank you guys for being here too, by the way. Hanging out with me in the morning. Drop a like on the stream. Let's go. This week's, conversely, adults 35 to 49 dropped by 20% from 263,000 from last week, 189, with 22% among men and 15% drop in women. This week's episode of NXT topped Dynamite in the overall viewership. 857,000 for NXT to the 800,000 for Dynamite. And you could see the drop in the female viewership as well. In Canada, that's me, hi. In Canada, the show averaged approximately 119,000 viewers, 56,000 in the 2024 demo on TSN2. Overall viewership increased by 31%. Is that 31%? Yeah, 31% from last week's, and was Dynamite's largest viewership in Canada since August. So the thing is here is that when we're talking about the numbers, I love going through the numbers and the ratings. It's a week-to-week thing. But the thing is about going through the numbers, guys, is that it's going to fluctuate a lot. And for Dynamite, I would have thought that Edge return would spike them to close to 1 million. But you got to give AEW a lot of credit here, because they got 800,000 viewers, and not looking at the minute by or segment by segment breakdown of how they did, if they peaked around 852,000 with an overrun, Dante Trower subscribes, yeah, then with an overrun, 852, clinging to almost 900K with Edge and a Christian main event segment, going up against 3 baseball playoffs on the same network, and you had issues with audio of not only a full segment having to be re-aired, you did an overrun for the show, and you had the audio issues in the beginning too. Sorry, you had the audio issues in the beginning of the show, which you had to replay. You had Edge's overrun segment, MLB playoffs, and according to this and Tony Khan, you had issues when it came to DVR numbers. So I don't think this live stream is live. It's pre-taped. Fat Hobbit, we're live, brother. We're always live. That's a lot for AEW to go up against. And for them to go up against all of that and still pull in a number of around 800,000 to 852 peak numbers, I mean, kudos to them. 3 baseball games, it's playoffs. Like, I know people in here are like, hey, we're not baseball fans, who cares? It's a big deal when there's over 3 million viewers for one ball game, almost 4 million for a MLB playoff game. Then you got another near 2 million on another baseball game. In Canada, was that on Tuesday or was it Wednesday's game? The Jays were out and they were taken out of the playoffs as well. So it's not, I didn't miss Fat About a Hobbit. I haven't missed super chats. I see them. I appreciate it. I'm getting to that in just a second, and we'll read through some super chats and some messages. It's a lot. That's a lot for them to go up against, and for AEW to do over 8 consistently, it's pretty good. The problem though is that when you end up with AEW is always around the 800,000 mark. Now, I will say this, and we talked about this yesterday on the show. I think that AEW is in an extremely healthy position right now to get better stories going in. If they can just get past the MLB playoffs, I know they will have to compete with football, WWE for Collision. They're going to utilize Edge and Christian on Collision as well. That's going to help boost some numbers, but you got to get more storytelling going on. Having Young Buck matches, it's not going to do it. And you're always going to say it's going to be around 800,000 and 400,000 to 600,000 on Collision. I hope AEW can learn from bringing Adam Copeland in, seeing this segment, looking at the numbers overall, and going, okay, people like this stuff. They like the stories that we're telling. Let's do more of it. Because if you look here, I'm not playing anything from AEW, but from All Elite Wrestling's YouTube channel, the Christian Edge segment alone, and it was all over social media, by the way. It has been clipped, reclipped, re-aired. So not counting social media, but just YouTube, they're at 2.2 million viewers, and it's probably higher than that because YouTube's front end numbers will be lower. So it's over 2 million. That's like the thing that people don't look at for WWE or AEW. It's not to just defend an AEW thing, but WWE, AEW will look at the TV ratings and go, okay, we're number 6 in the ratings for this week. But they're also going to take a look in consideration of what are the merchandise numbers, what are the social media interactions, social media numbers, and YouTube engagements. When they're seeing this as their highest segment, like the Luchasaurus, the Overrun is at almost 1 million views. And that was for the stuff that happened off air. Like, Rated R Superstar Adam Coleman arrived at WrestleDream has 4.7 million views. That's some of their highest numbers. AEW with, for example, Punk's return, we'd have to look it up, but it's probably in the many millions for when CM Punk did his initial return. It was like their highest viewed thing on YouTube. WWE looks at these analytics as well because LA Knight is quite honestly, outside of Roman Reigns, LA Knight is one of their hottest acts and biggest numbers for YouTube alone. So they look at that, they look at their merchandise sales, and then they go, we push. I hope AEW realizes this and sees all of it. It's really good. Let's take a second here, guys, because we got some super chats that just came in. Good morning. How are you? I'm saying hi in the chat as well. Thank you so much for joining us live. Exclusive TV just became an Assemble supporter. Brother, thank you very, very much. Too sweet to you. I appreciate it. You get all those fun emotes. We got the Adam emote. I'm going to get a Prince Nana Dance one. Either a GIF one, or it's going to put him in the chat as well. But throw those Adams in the chat if you guys want. Fiendish FBE, thank you very much for your super chat. Matt, what would be your reaction if Uncle Howdy returned and entered from the door with Shatter as a theme song? It would be emotional. I wouldn't be into that. I've heard the rumblings of them using Uncle Howdy and having Bo Dallas come in to WWE, like continuing on the character. If they could figure it out where like Uncle Howdy's going to have like a faction, maybe you bring in Alexa Bliss again, and it's kind of like almost a tribute to Bray. And think about this too. Let's go with FBE for a second here. No, if they did the theme song thing, don't like that. Don't like that. That's Bray's. You let that rest. Move on. Like, do your own thing. I think that if they did continue on with Uncle Howdy, which has been rumored that they might do that, I think that one thing you could do is create a faction around Uncle Howdy. Bo Dallas. Don't have Uncle Howdy talk a lot unless he can, unless Bo Dallas can like go on the mic as a Uncle Howdy character. But keep him as like the background puppet master. And bring in Karrion Kross, Nikki Cross, Scarlett, Alexa Bliss. Need another guy or two in there. Maybe a tag team. And you could build Schism. You could build out a Wyatt 6 faction. Maybe you call it Wyatt 6 to pay tribute. That would get super over. But I don't think using the theme song is the best move, especially at this time. But even like guys talking about the numbers, looking at NXT, you know, if they're pulling, they beat Dynamite with Edge. Different night of the week. I mean, Raw's ratings are down because of football. NXT is still doing around over 800,000 views. And next week's going to be probably more insane. I got to believe, honestly, that like, so if we look at Dynamite, it says this week's episode NXT top Dynamite 857 to 800. With the next week is the head-to-head. It's the Tuesday Night Titan War. And AEW is trying to load up their show with some title matches. You'll have Edge, you'll have Christian, you'll have a bunch of stuff. Edge's debut match in AEW. If they're going up against more baseball and they're going up against NXT, where NXT is loaded up with Asuka, Paul Heyman, John Cena, Cody Rhodes, like on top of what's already there, probably Dominic, Mello, Trick, Becky. NXT is a loaded show. So when we didn't even have those stars on NXT, NXT still beat them. You had Becky in a segment, you had the Dominic title change. That was it. So NXT wasn't even this crazy show. The announcements at the end were big, and you had a title change, but NXT still beat them. So what's the ratings going to be next week? My honest prediction, I think NXT gets I'm going to say NXT breaks 1 million. I think NXT will get to 1 mil. If not, they are just shy of 1 million. I say that because Becky and Seth brought in alone like an extra 100,000 viewers just for their presence on the program when they came in individually. I think if you have Cena, Heyman, Cody, you're probably going to bring in close to 1 mil. You could probably draw 200,000, especially John Cena. So if you're doing that, and again, I think that's 1 mil. What does Dynamite do? I think all the core Dynamite viewers are going to come out. I think you're going to get a little bit of channel flipping too, where some segments will be a little bit higher because there's intrigue of what's going on in both shows. I think Dynamite will probably land somewhere in the neighborhood of 850 to maybe 900, but I don't think they'll win. Just because Tuesday NXT didn't have the same star power as next week, and they still won. So I gotta say that WWE, and it just kind of like, you know what? I'm also like, why is WWE got to do this? Just let them have it. Just let them have it. But the thing is, though, is that if NXT didn't do up all, is it just me? Is my volume fluctuating? I hope not. I'm not touching anything. Cody might announce the Dusty Classic. That's kind of what I see him doing. The thing is, though, is like NXT, if they didn't do this loaded show next week, then I think they probably still would have hit around 800,000. NXT would. 800 to 850 is probably what they would do next week without a complete loaded show. They're on a bit of a roll right now. No Mercy was a great show, and I think they're just picking up a lot more momentum. Matt's wife is in the background blowing into a flute. Oh no. Are you guys getting background noise or anything? Because I don't hear anything. Let me know. And Dynamite will probably stick around. They would probably do 800 to 900 if WWE wasn't counter programming them, because they would have Edge's first match. We'll see. Either way, it's all good. Now, as we get through a little bit more here, guys, let me talk to you, because the next thing there, buddy, we are going to talk about CM Punk. CM Punk. CM Punk. Now, where is all this stuff that I had? We had some planned information. All right. WrestleTalk says, CM Punk to WWE update. It is his intention to return, and the two sides are in talks. There you go. Goodbye. Timothy, we will talk about a 2K24 situation. Hang around with me to the end, because we're going to talk some 2K24 CM Punk possibilities. WrestleTalk is saying that there has been rumors that it's happening, but those in WWE have only said that no deal is completed, and those close to Punk have told us that this is his intention to return, and the two sides are in talks. One would expect, if such a deal is made, that Survivor Series weekend in Chicago would be the time to do the surprise return. There you go. CM Punk, WWE. Confirmed? No, not confirmed. Not confirmed. But very, very possible of getting CM Punk and looking like it's leaning that way. Here's the thing. WWE getting CM Punk back is a big deal. Does WWE have problems with CM Punk? Probably. But the thing is, it's just the money and it's ratings and it's what he can draw. And he's going to do good things. And he's going to be under more control. It's going to be tighter. It's not going to be chaos like AEW. And CM Punk might actually have a better run in WWE today than he did 11, 12 years ago. He might have a better experience because it's not the same thing. Punk left at a time when WWE was not good. Like, Triple H was kind of in charge of some stuff, but he was still working. Vince was thoroughly in charge and in command of it. The program was really not good. Really not good. CM Punk and Daniel Bryan were the high spots during that era. And so people were holding on to that. Now you are getting an older, more grizzled, you want to say mature CM Punk, but there's a lot with AEW. But I think they're both sides to be blamed. And I got to feel that the way WWE is run today with Nick Khan, Vince is in the background, not really there all the time. Triple H, we can only guess. Maybe Triple H has personal problems and doesn't like Punk on a personal level. But he said in interviews himself, if it makes good business sense, they're going to do it. That's what Vince always did. Vince brought back Warrior. He's brought back Hogan. And he's brought back Warrior. And he's brought back... he's brought back everybody. Everybody comes back. If CM Punk comes back, I think it's a different experience. And I really wouldn't be surprised if Punk comes back in Chicago at Survivor Series to challenge Seth Rollins, Cody, Roman, whatever it is. If CM Punk returns in Chicago, biggest pop, biggest ratings, huge draw. It's going to boost their ratings at a time when they are still finalizing TV deals for Raw and NXT, which is probably where you would want Punk, is to put him on Raw. You're going to boost those Raw numbers, especially during football season. All of it helps. So if it costs you $2 million a year to get CM Punk, it's going to be worth it. You get another face or a heel. Depends how you want to play it. But you get more value out of it, more for customers. You're rolling into WrestleMania season as it is. You got a big highlighted match, even if Punk can only do a couple of matches. Cody Rhodes doesn't even wrestle that much either. People love Cody. Man doesn't wrestle. Punk could do the exact same schedule. And so I think that, to me, as a fan, I think that Punk could come back to WWE and have the run that he wants to have. Because WWE will put the machine behind him because they're investing in him if they are going to do this. They put the money into it. They want it to pay off. You get some dream matches, and he's not there all the time. You have him just do TV, and it doesn't have to be like he's going to be hiding in his own locker room and he's going to be away from everybody and it's all divided. WWE is a different beast. And Punk, 11, 12 years ago, didn't like it. Why? Because of multitude of reasons, right? That he himself had reported on. From all of the injuries he accumulated in WWE, he was doing his big run. He wasn't getting pushed to main event WrestleMania. He'd been working and grinding for years. Now he has taken a huge step away from the business. He's come back to AEW. That fell apart on both sides to blame. But it wasn't a good environment, despite it seeming like it would have been. Now he has a chance to go to WWE and work in a system that is more polished, more organized. There's no shenanigans. And it's just different now. WWE is willing to put way more money behind guys. UFC, or excuse me, Endeavor, we sit there and go, we have a good working relationship with Phil. We like to see him on our TV as well. I think it's a good idea, and I think Punk will do even better because he won't be grinding it out week after week on TV, doing matches, doing pay-per-views, doing live events. He's not at that stage in his career anymore. So he doesn't have to come into WWE and feel like, I got to go and work for 5 years. No, he comes in and does the Brock type schedule, the Cody schedule, where it's like, all right, I'll come in, but let's do a 1-year deal or a 2-year deal, and we'll do X number of matches and X number of live pay-per-view premium live events and maybe some premium house shows and a Saudi Arabia show. You get enough matches out of Punk, you're going to get your return on it. So I think that Punk coming back to WWE, to me, it's not the same as what it was. I think, and with AEW being very, anybody can do anything they want, and Tony Khan is huge to blame for the breakdown of Punk, because you let the guy run loose in your company and run his own show and decide who can come into the room and not, and all this stuff. WWE does not run the business that way. Tony Khan. So no, it's Tony Khan. Watch out, here he comes. A current AEW star files trade CM Punk related trademark. Let's keep going. Current All Elite Wrestling star has filed a trademark related to CM Punk, who was recently fired by the company. Punk was terminated by cause on September 2nd. It's now emerged that David Harwood, the real name of AEW's Dax Harwood, has filed a trademark for the term CMFTR. CMFTR is, of course, the version of the Punk with CM Punk and FTR when they grouped together. The group formed a strong relationship. The filing has the following description. Entertainment services, namely wrestling exhibits, performances. This is probably for merch. This is probably so they can post it on Pro Wrestling Tees and sell CMFTR shirts. And then go to conventions and sell it. There's no confirmation on exactly what it meant. But if it was in reference to a non-compete clause or something of that nature, the timing would line up that he'd be available at Survivor Series, his hometown of Chicago. It's going to be good. Dax is like, I'm going to protect CM Punk forever. Well, what do you guys think? Is Punk coming back? Is he coming back in Chicago? There's too much that lines up with this. There just is. It's, you know, some people will be like, I don't want this, I'm against it. But the timing is just, it's just too sweet, brother. The timing works out perfectly. WWE is heading into Royal Rumble season. It's coming up faster than you think. CM Punk in Chicago, if they get this deal done and they just kind of whisper it to fans that, like, he signed, or if it leaks, it can still be like AEW CM Punk return or debut when everybody knew but they were waiting. If he's in Chicago and it's all but confirmed by WWE he is there, the crowd will go ballistic and they're just gonna love it. And I get cult of personality on WWE TV. So I'm really hopeful it happens. Shawn Michaels has talked publicly about it, that he wants him on in NXT. That would be hilarious too, is that with Shawn Michaels saying, like, I would take him in NXT. Of course you would, Shawn. But with Shawn Michaels saying, I'll take CM Punk in NXT, it's not far-fetched that it would happen. If Raw is going to be 3 hours on USA Network or whatever, but they're in TV negotiations right now with everybody to see who wants to pick it up, if they're going to get somebody who is still, like, the biggest buzz name out there outside of the WWE product, who's controversial a little bit, it's going to boost everything. You get him signed with WWE, you put him on Raw, and then after a few months, have him see, like, a special appearance by CM Punk. NXT's numbers will hit over 1 million if you're going to see CM Punk in that tiny ass arena, which I don't like. I don't like that it's there. Christopher Lloyd says if he does that, people will lose their minds and stop punching the air. Oh, we'll have to see, guys. It's going to be interesting. the next few weeks, next few months, if things are heating up, they're going to want to get this done. WWE is. We shall see. Let's take a look at some of the other stuff we got here. More talk regarding the NXT numbers that we've talked about here. Let's talk for a second here about Matt Riddle. You remember Riddle? He's doing his own cannabis line too. But WWE scrapped significant plans for the McRiddle tag team due to Matt Riddle's release. Following the conclusion of the program with Gunta. That didn't work. WWE, they formed the tag team, Matt Riddle and Drew McIntyre. Briefly, the brief team ultimately came to an end following September 4th. As Riddle was not brought back to TV. Riddle was later released on September 22nd. Prior to his release, though, WWE had significant plans for his tag team with Drew McIntyre. According to WrestleVotes, the team name of McRiddle was even produced and merchandise was designed for the team. That's hilarious. Various merchandise items were designed with the team name McRiddle. This is not a joke. Along with the combination of McIntyre and Riddle, the name is similar to the McGriddle, a breakfast sandwich at McDonald's. The McGriddle consists of bacon, eggs, and American cheese. Why are they talking about what's inside of a McGriddle? That's ridiculous. So, yeah. Oh, we were going to get the McRiddle, and now we not. And that's a shame. Oh man. Javi, thank you very much to Super Chat, brother. He shouldn't return. He killed his momentum in AEW. Fair enough. Not everyone's going to be happy if he comes back. Some will, some won't. Oh, the McRiddle. Yeah, Scott, I'm kind of in love with that. They go into detail and they're like, by the way, if you're not aware, it's a McGriddle. A McGriddle is this type of sandwich and it consists of this, but if you live in Canada, they actually give you this. It's like, no one cares. Stop the words. So guys, Matt, did I see WrestleVotes post? No. Should I? Let's take a look here. What does WrestleVotes have to say? They got a lot of stuff over the last 34 hours. 26, October 2nd. What's WrestleVotes? Yeah, the McRiddle. There it is. Who is the Executive Vice President, Chief Human Resources Officer, reportedly directly to Vince McMahon, has informed WWE that she's stepping down from her role. Okay, so Suzette Ramirez Carr is stepping down? Oh no! We don't know who that is. Nobody knows. But WrestleVotes does talk about the McRiddle. That's hilarious. You know what's not hilarious, though? WWE doesn't really have any real plans for Brian Pillman Jr. So the TV vignette that you guys may or may not have seen, Wrestle Ops. I'll check it out. Brian Pillman Jr. had like what was appearing to be his vignette on NXT TV with like the old TV, and he's flipping channels, going Cleveland, and then he goes into WCW and he's watching Nitro. It was really cool. It was really, really cool. So let's take a look though at what they're saying. You guys are saying this is not accurate. Well, let's take a look. It's coming in from Cultaholic. Following an unofficial hiring freeze, Brian Pillman was signed to the company. Pillman is set to appear in WXW with vignettes airing on Tuesday nights in recent weeks and have featured WCW Saturday nights and Cincinnati Bengals, not Chicago. Pillman's father, Brian Pillman Sr., spent much of his career in WCW, and he was a Cincinnati Bengal before he transitioned to pro wrestling. Although these vignettes have been airing on TV, WWE seemingly haven't produced any long-term creative for Pillman. According to Haas Wrestling, they were given the impression that no real plans for second-generation star have been discussed beyond his buzzy vignettes. Pillman had previously been a part of AEW and promotion during summer contract. There's no word if WWE has produced any of the concrete plans. It's not much of anything. I mean, they could still use Pillman. They might. You guys were saying go check out Wrestle Ops. Is that right? See Wrestle Ops? Okay. Oh yeah, I follow Wrestle Ops. There we go. What's up? That's June 9th. There's obviously tons of all right, let's take a look here. There's obviously tons coming in from WrestleUps. There's obviously tons of talk. Regarding CM Punk returning, there have been rumors that it's happening, but those in WWE have only said that no deal is completed, and those close to Punk have told us that it is his intention to return, and the two sides in talks. One would expect, yeah, I did go through this. I went through this. It's literally where they pulled. But thank you. Thank you, Scott. How are you? Merritt's Gaming. It's been a while. Well, how are you, Merritt's Gaming? How are you guys? Ladies and gentlemen, if you just joined us, we're going through all the news. We're talking CM Punk may be returning to WWE by Survivor Series, but we don't totally know. It's all just rumors and speculation, and I love it. I love so much of it. We talked about Dynamite. We talked about the ratings for AEW and NXT. Gotta feel like next week, NXT is still going to beat Dynamite. It doesn't really matter, but it's still fun to talk about. And if you guys are in here, do me a favor. Watch me right here. Camera 1, camera 2. Camera 1, camera 2. Do me a favor here, Daddy. Hit that like button and hit subscribe. Trying to get to 94,000 subscribers. And we can do that with your help by just clicking that little itty bitty button. And you got 236 beautiful people in the chat. Give me a like and give me a sub, because then we can get there. And then we don't have to talk about it. But what we do got to talk about, though, is a little bit more of CM Punk. As per the thumbnail, was generated by AI, and I love that. Is CM Punk, if he signs, I got to believe you. I got to believe. I get pretty hyped for this. If Punk signs with WWE and shows up at Survivor Series in November in Chicago, Bobcat Lewis, how are you, brother? Do we get CM Punk in 2K24? And how do they handle it? I feel a Assemble video coming on. If we get CM Punk signing, oh man, Jamie Wayne, we get him with Heyman again. Ooh, you can revisit all of that. See, if Roman takes time off, you could get Punk, Heyman, maybe Braun Breaker. You could do a lot of different things. How do you handle it, though? What do you do with CM Punk in WWE 2K24? Jonah Steinmeier subscribed. Yes, high five. See Barry Allen. CM Punk showcase. Okay, got news for you. Showcases are done. They're already done. They've already made them. You ain't getting no different showcase than what you're getting. You're not getting a showcase. Do you get CM Punk just tossed in the game? Do you get CM Punk as pre-order bonus? Do you get CM Punk as round 1 DLC? Yes, Barry, I know. Stop it. How do you handle CM Punk in WWE 2K24? If he shows up in November, I'm sorry, 2K, you roll out your truck and you go and you grab all of your camera equipment, your dumbass 360 cameras with 800 cameras built in there. You bring that thing on a truck at Survivor Series and you go into the back and then you scan CM Punk right after his match or before he does his appearance or whatever. And you scan that man and then you go, oh, poor thumbnail creator jobs. What did I think about? I don't know. But then, yeah, you get CM Punk and then you get his Monday Night Raw entrance and you scan it perfectly. I don't want to stand in double of CM Punk for the scans. Don't give me somebody else doing it. You give me CM Punk himself doing the scan and you get him in 2K24. Would he be a pre-order bonus? Or would he be DLC? If you're smart, if you're so there's two ways to look at this. If you have him in, let's assume he makes it in November, and then we get this guy, Philly Brooks. Oh my God, can you imagine all of the retro attires, everything we would get? So good. I do think Javi Snoop Dogg is a great pre-order bonus. They like to do the little like celebrities. They do that stuff for pre-orders now. I'd be good with Snoop Dogg. Anyways, you get Punk. You could do a Punk pack. You could do a Punk pack. You give us 6 DLCs. You just make the 6th one Punk pack. RTS Mopar subscribed. Yes. Give me a Punk pack. I'm good with Punk pack. You guys like a little Punk pack? Huh? No. If he's going to be in the game, you don't just chuck him in the base game. You put CM Punk as DLC. If you want to do right by fans, you just put him in the base game. And you hype the game around CM Punk. Like, that's all you do. Because you will get so much. You'll get so much press, so much hype. People will come back. They'll buy the game just on its own if he's in there day one. You could go the route of pre-order bonus. Don't think so. I think WWE 2K and WWE will decide that they want to do some sort of celebrity, like a Snoop Dogg. They will do something like that. Something that is not of great value, but just kind of fun. Then, the other option is DLC. And I gotta think that if you're going to do CM Punky Punk, Philly Brooks, you put him in as DLC. Which DLC? I would probably, if I'm 2K, I would put him in the 4th or 5th DLC. And he'd be the headliner, and you surround him with probably some very average, mediocre stuff. And you would call it the Cult of Personality pack. Bam. Nailed it. Don't know who would be in the pack, but JC, I agree with you. I think July or August DLC, if you were to get CM Punk, he would be... I don't like him as DLC. I don't like it as DLC. I want him in the base game. Day one, let's go. But I'm saying that from a 2K perspective and from the business side and what they would likely do, they would probably put him in DLC. And JC, I agree with you. I think if you put him in the July or August DLC, that's the best move, because from 2K's perspective, you are going to get people to just buy the season pass. And they got to wait. They got to build to it. But come on. They get the straight edge pack. Oh, that's the thing too, Easy Bake. That the DLC for 2K24 could be pretty good. We're going to talk more about 2K in just a second, because I ain't happy about something else. 2K's DLC for 24 could be extremely interesting. Number one, I think that they'll do a lot more NXT like they did this year, and that was okay. I think 23 was too heavy on NXT, not heavy enough on Legends. We're losing a significant, I say significant, but like 10 or so wrestlers from 24 from the releases. How do you compensate for that? Add more Legends. Like, come on. Like, I don't know what the Legends deals are. We know that Kevin Nash re-signed a Legends deal with WWE. So we're going to get NWO and all that stuff as normal. What other Legends do I want to see, though? I hope that there's the opportunity to get Legends deals for the likes of Rick Rude, Mr. Perfect. You got to get Dusty in there. Bring back Ric Flair. And I don't need these necessarily as DLCs, but it would make sense to do that. Also, because you have Brian Williams, creative director over there, he came from the days and was involved in 2K games and all that in the days of like move packs, where part of the DLC was move packs. I would like to see 2K shift up the way they do the DLCs, because I think they're going to start really running low on what they could sell. I think you should get into the avenue of, like, I know our Create Arena stuff is flushed out. It's got some problems, and I know that you could basically recreate whatever. But I think if you're 2K, you got to say, we're going to give you in pack 5, you're going to get WrestleMania 40. And they give you the authentic thing. People might say, well, I can recreate WrestleMania 40. Who cares? I don't want that. You got to understand, you don't get the graphics, the templates, the arena, like the realistic stuff for it. Have 2K do that in a July or August, because that gives enough dev time to actually create the arena. That's what I would do. Zach Smith says it too. DDP in 24. Exactly. So I would like to see them change it up. Drill season, you're right. I think Dudley Boys would easily be one of the packs. But I'd like to see them change it up. And Brian Williams, who worked on move packs for previous DLCs, I did kind of like that. I know that 2K right now, they will do patches and updates, and along with the DLC, we not only get the new moves in the DLC, but they patch in more moves. I like to see them just do more move packs, and then do the 5 DLC characters, maybe do 4 to 5, and add in arenas. But you do have the potential for more stars coming in, and 2K24's roster and DLC looking really healthy. If they can build up more Legends, they're going to put more NXT stars in 24's DLC. You gotta figure. You got Puff Dutch, you're totally right. You put Dominic on the cover, you're going to sell 1 million copies. No, you're not. But I think that if you did get CM Punk for Survivor Series, you do everything you can if you are 2K and you get him in the game. You have enough time. The cutoff would be like Rumble. So, like, you work everything you can to put him in the game, and don't sit there and be like, oh, yeah, we'll save him for the next year. Oops, he came in too... No, he didn't come in too late. If he comes in Survivor Series or the Rumble, you could still scan him in time and get him in the game. You still could. Moveset's already there. The motion is not that hard. Do a scan, get it done. The community already does it. I think that the DLC could be very interesting with CM Punk headlining one of the packs if he does sign. I think Jade Cargill would be DLC and headline one of the packs, so there's 2 headliners. That's the thing with WWE 2K games. They typically need a headliner. They need somebody that is like, they're very excited, like this is a draw for the pack, and the rest are maybe fun or appealing to some. Like not all, like Bray Wyatt is the draw for the pack that we got. There is always kind of one standout legend or superstar, and the rest they kind of fill in for the most part. But I think you get Jade as a DLC. You're going to get CM Punk if he signs. You get him as a DLC pack. Show star, like front runner. Dudley Boys, I think, would be a front runner for a DLC pack. And then you need to fill out 2 more. And with each of those, you got 1 to 2 of them. You backfill them with, like, let's just say it's CM Punk in a pack. All right, CM Punk's a DLC for number 4. You got Punk as the front runner. Add in like a legend of like Mr. Perfect. And then you need a tag team. And then maybe a female, like Ivory or Jacqueline. Do something like that. Or Aussie Vamp is right. You just give everybody mini games, and then we're all happy. We all want it. That would make everything better if 2K just said, screw all this. We're gonna do mini games. That's what the fans want. But speaking of what fans want, or what fans don't want out of 2K, let me talk to you. News has dropped out that ain't a right sentence. News has dropped, not dropped out. You get Brian Pillman as well, Jalen. That's a good point. With Brian Pillman Jr., you get him Pillman pack. News has dropped out for 2K23. Ladies and gentlemen. My faction. All right. Let me talk. Big boy pants. Let me go. Here we go. 2K23 is going to release another round of my faction content, and I'm not happy about it. Boo this man. Boo this man is the GIF. That is what you post on Twitter, and you post to 2K right now. They're going to release more of my faction content with a new patch. It's only going to be, I'm guessing, like a gig. So people are going to go, we're getting a new patch update. Minor bug fixes. This what to expect. Minor bug fixes and my faction content. Here's what they're doing, guys. And this has me pretty mad. Joe Mashups has confirmed that Big Papa Pump Scott Steiner is coming to my faction. They're putting Steiner in Big Papa Pump. They're putting him in as my faction. The big bad booty daddy. We can't get him in the base game. Yeah, Jeremiah, yeah. So it's confirmed from Joe Mashups, who's looked at the recent files with, I guess, a small update or something that has come out. They're putting Scott Steiner as a My Faction exclusive. Patrick Bell says, finally, Scott Steiner, awesome. Well, you might be trolling there, Patrick, because it's not awesome for the rest of the people that don't like My Faction or don't want to have to pay for an exclusive. And if you're a 2K marketing person of sorts, and your feedback is, what's wrong with exclusives? You're paywalling full out new roster additions behind a mode that we can't utilize in anything else. And yeah, we can say this could be available through the modding community. Or you're going to say to me, just get a PC and download anything. No, because the vast majority of people don't play on PC for the 2K games. They play on consoles. Yeah, this might get unlocked through status and other people, but there's a good chance they put a block on it. That's the thing. So we can't assume that status or anybody else can get this unlocked, because we've seen the likes of Triple H and others, Stunning Steve Austin, other character models, Booker T, that were in My Faction, and they can't be uploaded. But then they do random things where they allow you to get Kurt Angle. Like Himothy, it's like, yeah, we have to buy these packs to get these legends. Like, they're gonna put in Big Papa Pump Scott Steiner, a full model of Scott Steiner, and they're gonna lock it in there. And if it's not unlocked by status in the community, which is bogus to begin with, making the community do workarounds, not making them, they're not allowed to do it technically, but doing workarounds to get it to people, this is a terrible move. My faction is already not liked by the community. And I wrote this in response to other people online. I was like, I'm really curious what the hell the player base for my faction is. Because I understand that from my point of view, and from maybe some of you guys, Patrick Bell, regular Scott Steiner with the Steiner brothers is in the base game as DLC. Big Papa Pump Scott Steiner, character model, entrance, theme song, Titantron, look, everything is not. And 2K is about to put him in as my faction. Here's the thing. I understand that the Twitter community, X, the YouTube community, and such, that we hold up our pitchforks and we deny my faction and we yell about it because we don't want it. I understand that that is a small subsection of the market and the community and the user base that doesn't want this. I understand that. People online, on Twitter, on Reddit, it is a smaller amount of people, players, than that of everyone that just buys the game. So we don't speak for everyone. However, I am dying to know what the install base and what the player base is, the active users are for my faction on a month-to-month or quarterly basis. I cannot fathom that there are a lot of people out there, casual players of 2K, of wrestling, going, hey, my faction updated. Oh, cool. There's an advertisement. It says I can play as Scott Steiner if I drop $20 in virtual currency to play as him, and I can only play him in the locked mode and I can't play him in anything else. Or I can grind out cards and maybe get him randomly so then I can play as him locked behind the one mode. I cannot imagine, and maybe I'm wrong, and maybe I'm just the big dummy in the chair. What do I know? Don't think there are a lot of people that choose to opt into my faction because of the tremendous player base, online capability, vast amount of match types and modes and systems that are in there, a very thorough and well thought out creative system, a well done system that's going to give you tons of player rewards. I don't think people are in there playing that mode at all. I think if you are a casual wrestling fan, WWE fan, a kid, I'm an old man, so what the hell do I know? I'm not the market. I am not the leader in the market. I'm not the active player that they're looking to hunt for, because I'm going to buy the game anyways. They're trying to get the new users, new players to install the game to buy the game. I can't see a 10-year-old, a 12-year-old, a 15-year-old, a 20-year-old, anybody going, oh yeah, a digital card game for wrestlers. I'm going to play that. I think, like any wrestling fan of any kind, they want to play the game. Time to play the game. They want to play the game. They want to play online with their buddies. They want to do couch co-op with their friends, play some matches, hit each other with chairs, put them through tables, do cool moves, play some universe mode, and bounce. Instead, they do this, and you turn off and anger your core base that will kind of ride or die and buy the product. And maybe that is the problem. We will buy the product, because I see enough of those comments as well that people are like, people need to not buy the game in order to show them that we're unhappy. It's not going to happen. It just isn't. It's like anything with economics and just the globalization and how everything works. We don't like food prices. Don't shop at Walmart. People got to buy food. Now, it's not a one-to-one example, but you know what I mean. You're not going to stop doing the thing at a large scale. People are not going to boycott the game. Scott Bond says that I wonder if we'll get a Lady Jim pack in 24. Scott, we should, because then you get Michelle and her Lady Jim. Oh, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to message Marty M, and I'm going to say, Marty, get off your track and stop creating these arenas and give me my Lady Jim. I want it. What does my faction actually do? What do you win? Johnny Sacks. So you play my faction towers and the weekly events and such. You'll unlock cards. You get digital cards. That's what you get. Now, you'll open up the packs for the rewards by playing these towers and matches and such. You'll unlock either individual cards or you'll get packs. When you open up the card packs like you do in Madden Ultimate Team or anything else, you open up the packs to get random rewards. Usually it's a bunch of trash like side plates and rubies and all this junk that you don't actually use in the matches and don't actually matter or impact that your actual matches in my faction and how it plays. You'll then unlock random cards. You might get a Jey Uso or a John Cena or a Stone Cold Steve Austin of different colors like a ruby and an emerald and a diamond and a whatever. And then you use that. Then you can play as them in the mode. So with this, what we're talking about is like they're going to release a patch probably next week or so, and it's going to be involving Scott Steiner, Big Papa Pump. And that means that his full character model has been created by the 2K dev team. They put it in, they put the theme song, they put the Titantron, the look, the motion, all of it, and they lock it behind the mode. You can then go into my faction and you could use your own actual money through a credit card, buy virtual currency to then turn around and individually buy that card so that you can play a Scott Steiner in my faction and use him. By the way, even if my faction was fine, here's the bad thing about my faction. You can't even get the entrances. So you get a Triple H, a Shawn Michaels, D-Generation X, anybody that is exclusive to the mode, you can't even watch the entrance. It goes right to the match. There's no way to change it. So even if you get a Scott Steiner, you can't see his entrance. You just play as him. So you're losing half of it, in my opinion, because it doesn't matter. So you either use your own personal money to unlock him and buy him, and it's still locked behind this paywalled mode, or you don't and you grind out randomly to hopefully unlock him or get enough currency built up in my faction point rewards, and then you can buy him through virtual currency based on the hours that you put into the mode, thus getting Steiner, but you still can't use him in anything else. I don't know who plays this. That's not all. It's my rant, and I'm not done. FB says, I gotta go back here for a second. FB, thank you very much for your super chats. Punk in 2K24 DLC would be fire. I agree. And then he says, I can't wait for CM Punk to return. I can't wait for Jimmy and Solo to attack Roman and do it for The Rock. Scott Bond, super chat. Thank you, brother. They would make way more money if they just make them faction superstars as individual paid DLC, $5. Yeah. And I'm about to talk a little more of my faction because Scott Steiner is only the first. Is CM Punk confirmed? Flux Kitten? Rumors are ramping up that CM Punk is going to return to WWE, that they're in talks right now. That's the big word. Here's the thing. We talk a lot of this. It's okay, Flux Kitten. Sit down, have a show. But we're in rant mode right now because we're into talking my faction. So, what? Someone asked him about AJ Lee? CM Punk? Yeah, bring her back. There you go. We'd be happy. My faction, to your point, Scott, fans, I've brought this out too. Charge players for the exclusive My Faction to pull them out of the mode. Jeremiah Garcia, if you have a question, just throw it in the chat. You don't have to ask if you have a question. I know players don't like that. They're like, that's bogus. It should just be in the game. I'm with you. I'm always with you. Make it free. But I'm always looking at it from the business side as well. 2K and any video game company is not going to do that. They want to maximize how much money they can suck out of a player for the 8 to 12 months that a game is active. They want all the possible revenue as much as humanly possible. You do that with My Faction, you do that with paid DLC, added content, etc., so that they can boost that thing after the initial sales run. So I understand. Make it free, because that's free is better. That ain't the world. So here's what you do. You just make it unlockable. paid DLC, individual content people can choose to buy or not. All you do, and by the way, Brian Williams, the developer, has said in interviews that it's a separate team that works on my faction, and one doesn't really work with the other. I respectfully just say I don't like that answer of the reason why we cannot get a Scott Steiner in the base game. The telling us that it's because it's with my faction and its own team and they do their own thing. I respectfully say that I don't like that answer, because how come a modder can go into your game and download it, and Status, by the way, as an example, has posted videos of how easy it is to put the My Faction characters into the game. It looks like, from a modder's perspective, I don't know how to mod, but from their perspective, it seems like a very simple change of code for them to get the characters in the base game. So I do not agree or believe that My Faction, Scott Steiner, Asuka, DX, whoever, it's impossible to get them out. I think it's just an exclusivity deal that they want, and that's why they run with it. And I don't think it's fair. What I think is fair to the consumer is giving the option to buy it, to pay and play in the base game if they want. Not everyone wants Scott Steiner. And guess what? That's okay. You don't have to buy him. But make it an option. That's my thesis. Allow play. Because if you're going to grind out in My Faction for 15 hours, 2K is going to love that because they look at the playtime on this mode, look at the person grabbing virtual currency, look at them buying packs or using their credits to get more packs and be engaged in playing the game. Yay, they win. Or they're going to drop real money, like $20 to buy packs. Because that's what it is, the minimum, guys. It's about $15 to $20 for you to buy My Faction packs on your own with your dollars, your real credit card money. Why can't you just charge me $5 for Scott Steiner in the regular game? I can decide as a consumer, do I want to pay $5 for Scott Steiner or not? At least I have the option. And if the rest of the consumers say, that's crap, he should be free and in the game, I agree with you. But they won't do that. So if they're just like, we want make money, cool, here's a good way to make more money. That's why I'm so flabbergasted by this mode. That people are playing this. I don't believe it. FBE says Status posted Fiend. Yes, so that's the next one, FBE. Thank you. The other bits that are coming out for My Faction, what's the status as opposed to this? Alexa Bliss Dark is coming to My Faction. So they're giving us new Alexa Bliss model in the game too. And also, Status says Lily will be a playable My Faction character in my faction. Bad Bunny 23, which we've talked about in previous videos here on the channel, looked to be in there because there's a placeholder for Bad Bunny. His big Backlash match, he is coming in the form of an Evo card. So he is not a playable character, an updated playable character that's going to be in there for a new model. It's going to be an Evo card, which is just a card. And how we all feel.
Go fuck yourself. Go fuck yourself.
Yeah. The other one, Joe Mashups just posted this. Goldberg, 2003 Goldberg is coming to My Faction. What's the difference between this and regular Goldberg? 2003 was his WWE run, his first run, where he had like his different trunks. This is when he first came in, challenged The Rock, and then even after like he had the goatee look, he then had the full beard. I actually like Bill with the big beard. Scary. Thank you, Christian. Fiend just says, no, I meant that Alexa Bliss, he had Alexa with the Fiend mask in the game. No, I meant the Fiend Alexa Bliss, he had Alexa with the Fiend mask. Oh, I see. Okay. So, Bliss, Scott Steiner, Alexa Bliss, Fiend version, Lily as apparently a playable character, which has come out before like months ago. Bad Bunny, which according to status is just an Evo card, not playable. Go F Yourself. Goldberg 2003. And I think that's it. So I'm hot about it because I don't think it's fair to players. And that's the bottom line, because Stone Cold said so. But that's the big thing for me. Is it's not fair to players. Oh, they also changed the Fastlane card. Edge was on the cover of this card, by the way. So with the most recent, I guess, patch or whatever they're putting in there, they changed it out for Solo. It was Edge. That's hilarious, too. See? It was Edge. It was Edge all along. It makes me mad that they do that, because that's not what players want. And it makes me mad that it's the direction that they're going in. I expect 3 years of my faction, 22, 23, 24. I assume try it for 3 years, put it on a 3-year cycle, and let's see how it performs. My only real hope is they see that the player base for my faction and that the return on investment is not there. My only hope is that they do not run this with 25 and they stop. I don't think they will. I don't think they'll stop. I think 2K is going to keep going. And that's what they're going to do. Oh, FBE, thank you for your super chat. I did. Sorry. As I was just talking, I was flipping through and I saw this, and this is what you were talking about, is they did Alexa Bliss with the Fiend mask. Status did. The Fiend Alexa Bliss. That's scary. Oh my. Oh my. Jessup Myers, good day. So guys, what do you think regarding my faction? It's got me hot and bothered because I don't think it's good. I don't think it's good for fans. I don't think it's good for players. I think it's gambling. I think we see this in EA, and I don't like it. And I don't think it's what wrestling fans, the wrestling community, is looking for with their game. I think it's bad for kids. 2K is going to argue, and their marketing team and such will make the polite argument that what is the problem with having 2K, with having mode exclusives? There's nothing wrong with having exclusivity, but it's the way it is done. And that's what bothers players. And wrestling games, Vince Russo, wrestling games are not FIFA. Wrestling games is not Madden. The player base is not the same. The point of like getting Madden cards or MLB cards in their digital marketplace and going through that is different because there's also not the inherent investment the player, the consumer has with the character or the person, the wrestler, the set, the all of that, the superstar, the performer, the athlete. In the Madden Ultimate Team, it is about the stats. It is about the whole team you're forming. It's less to do with that player. It's the stats behind them that you're more intrigued with when it comes to those modes, in my opinion. Wrestling is different. Wrestling is about the connection you have with the performer, with the superstar, and in the video game, it's about playing as them and having that individual experience with that character, model, superstar, wrestler because of the history, because they're cool, because you like them, because you're interested, because you want to play as them and do the moves and see the entrance and experience them. What's wrong with having exclusives in a mode? Nothing, but I think it turns your player base off when you're telling them to grind out a mode. Oh, you can do it for free, but pigeonhole them into a locked-in mode where they can't go and utilize what they grinded. So, like, let's put aside the monetary aspect of it. I think if you're going to ask anybody to grind out something for 10 plus hours, I think it's not good for the player that they cannot then, after all that hard work, utilize that wrestler like Scott Steiner in the regular game that they bought. I want to go have a match with Scott Steiner and I decide that I'm going to have Scott versus Triple H in a no-holds-barred match. Well, I'm sorry, you can't. But you can use them in these matches that we have set up in the mode. I don't want to do that. That's what it is. So the argument of what's wrong with exclusivity, it's how it's built. Exclusivity can be fine, but when you've locked in the player into the box of my faction, of this mode, you're limiting what their experience can be and the enjoyment they can have with it. And that's what's wrong with it. That's what's wrong with doing it on top of the gambling aspect. You want kids to sit there and go, pay real money or get your parents' credit card and you can buy rewards to get Triple H or Mankind or Scott Steiner or whoever, and you can buy them and play with them in the mode. Do you think the parent knows that they're locked into a specific mode? Probably not. Probably don't care. Probably got the credit card on file. Cha-ching for 2K. I think it's bad. I think all of the stuff is bad when it's slot machine crap. That's my rant. So, CM Punk might be coming to WWE, maybe by Survivor Series. I'd be really, really excited to see him in 2K24. Not excited for my faction, but we got more stuff coming down the pipe. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm wrapping up the news show. You got a lot to add for my faction if you're going to do it. But today, we do have some positivity for you. Because we got probably new creation videos coming out. I might just go out and cut this whole My Faction segment and post it as a video. But yeah. Marty M. CM Punk 24 is a My Faction exclusive, baby. Get out, Marty. Yeah, your rant skipped my super chat. I'm sorry, Javi. I've got the super chats right here, my friend. You want Dink in 24? How dare you, Javi? How dare you? Fiendish FE, thank you again for the super chats. You sent the Alexa Bliss you're talking about. Thank you very, very much for your support. Guys, we'll sit here for a few minutes. I'll answer some of your questions. We'll do all that, but we're going to wrap up right now for our on-demand version. Thank you so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel, hit that like button, do all the good stuff. Thank you so much. I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.
Let me talk to him.